Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day off well. And is anybody else having like a Mercury retrograde redo? My computer was giving me a little issue and my phone was giving me a little issue, and now my printer decided that it was going to pitch a hissy and print the first page of something and then retain the piece of paper and not cough up the second page. So, whatever. Is what it is. Let me grab a drink here. So we'll give it a minute for everybody to pop on. Looks like one of you has arrived. Welcome, welcome. It's Ruth Ann. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. So, off to a strange start to Tuesday, given the technology, but we'll see where we get to. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for the sunshine, Ruth Ann. I appreciate it. We're supposed to get some rain here again today, and we've had a fair amount, so not like Texas, but quite a bit. Everything's very green. Dad had to mow the lawn yesterday because it was half an inch taller than what it had been, so there you are. Good morning, Gwen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, thank you for the hearts and the rainbow. Much appreciated. Today we have a chapter out of Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver, Letting the Divine Take the Lead. And I'm feeling like this message for me certainly is slow down, take a pause, make some conscious decisions about what you want to do and not do. Good morning, Miss Angie. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Thank you for the sunshine. So I think it's a discernment place. This chapter we're going to be reading is about discernment for ourselves. That's in our highest and best good. So let's prepare ourselves for this discernment. A little bit of tapping, a little bit of breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And one more. In through the nose as deep as you can. Out through the mouth. Just settling into right here, right now. Fully grounded, ready for whatever part of this message is here for you. So again, Outrageous Openness, Letting the Divine Take the Lead. And for those of you who have the book, and it's numbered the same as mine is, it's page 79. The chapter is called The Bliss of No. The Bliss of No. And the quote is from Dita Minnelli. Don't forget that no is a really, really complete sentence. My friend Dita mentioned that she had spent the day home from work. I asked, concerned, why, were you sick? Nah, she shrugged. I just felt like it. I was awestruck by the uber Sagittarian offhand way she said that. I might have needed to add, because you know I've been working day and night. Or maybe, I thought I'd come down with a cold if I didn't stop. Yeah. But an elegant, entitled little, I just felt like it. Wow. Exhilarating, unknown territory for my diligent Capricorn self. Want to know how hyper-responsible I used to be? Have you ever gotten those pages of awful address labels that charities send you covered with flags or teddy bears or chirping birds? It took me years to realize that I could just shred that crap and stop defacing my mail. About the same time, I figured out that I didn't have to answer online surveys from my Office Max family about my recent shopping experience. And that I saw in a lightning bolt of visionary awareness, I could say goodbye when a certain relative went on a rabid homophobic rant or two. I think I was 40. And every day it gets easier. Sometimes saying no at the right time just makes more and more space for the supreme pleasure of saying yes. But inherent in there, I'm going to do a little aside here, inherent in there is the willingness to allow that open space. If I say no to you and you and you, and there's this open field now, how do I work with myself not to jam it full of other stuff? because we're uncomfortable with the open field. Good morning, Tracy. Haven't seen you in a long time. Good morning, good morning. We're uncomfortable with the open field, with the just be. And so we try to fill up all of our time with busy work. And we justify it to ourselves in terms of, well, I'm accomplishing this and this and this and this. But what we're really doing, if you scratch the surface of that, and are self-important, look at me, get all this done, what's under there is, I'm afraid to sit in the open field. I'm afraid to hang out in the silence with myself. I'm afraid to really, truly address the shadows. I'm afraid to just be. Who will I be without my hustle and bustle? Who will I be without my chores and my demands on myself and my mind reading of other people, what I think they want of me, doing. Who will I be if I just am? So, is that making you uncomfortable? Did you reach for your cup of coffee? Good morning, Carol. Glad you're here. Welcome. Did you reach for your tea? Did you move uncomfortably? Did you have to shift away from that place of, I can say no to many things and many people and leave empty space in my life to be filled up by the universe? Good morning, Nancy. Glad you're here. Welcome. Not me jamming it full of stuff that are the to-dos. Okay? So here she's sharing another story that is designed to help us understand how out of control some of this stuff can get. I gave a reading to a well-known novelist named Bryn. She confessed that her Oakland apartment was so crammed with piles of unanswered fan mail she could hardly move. The overflowing bags, some 8 or 9 years old, mocked and tortured her. As a dutiful Virgo, she figured if people had gone through the trouble of writing, they deserved a response. But after wrestling all day with one manuscript or another, the last thing she wanted was more work. I thought mail turning her home into an obstacle course was awfully symbolic. When I suggested that she just bless the letters and burn them all, Bryn nearly wept with happiness. She had wanted this all along, to be set free, to set herself free from all of this duty and obligation and stuff that kept her stuck. Bryn wrote to say that after she released the mail, her whole life had opened up like a sunflower. Her books were her offering. They were enough. So, the joy of saying no, the duty to say no. We are not serving ourselves when we say yes to everything. And especially when we say yes to things that we really don't want to do, we really aren't interested in, it's really not in our bandwidth, etc. So I'll share one that I had recently, and it got pretty darned uncomfortable. There is a faith-based group that hosted a summit last fall and then tapped, I don't know, half dozen of us to be leaders for these various levers that they have created. So I was one of 2 people tapped for the affordable housing lever. And as things proceeded, there were more and more expectations as to what each of us lever leaders were going to be doing. And we're going to be doing uncompensated. So, yes, all of us have the capacity and hopefully the desire to do a lot of free stuff. I offer free care often. But I want to make that choice. I don't want it to be someone telling me, we need you to do this and for free. So it got to the point where with this particular group, someone needed to be offering the time to put together a mailing list and create a reach out letter to many other faith-based communities who had expressed an interest in doing something with regard to affordable housing. I had to work really hard not to be the one that said, I'd do it, because I didn't want to do that piece. That wasn't what I contracted to do. I was willing to kind of co-lead the work for setting these faith-based communities up to take the baton and run with it. So I put out an email back to the people who were kind of running this thing saying, is there any administrative support available here? And went back and forth with a variety of people on that, and just really had to work with myself not to cave in and say, I'll just do it. Because there are way too many I'll just do it's in my life. And it's time to be clearing the slate. And it's time to be making a much bigger open field in my world into which can flow that which is bubbling, ready to be birthed, ready. I feel like there's a whole new offering coming, and there's got to be space for it to flow into. If there's no space, it's going to die on the vine. There's got to be the space into which that can flow. So I kind of kept that beacon in my mind by not jumping on this bandwagon and saying I would do this stuff. And one person said, well, it's really not that much work, kind of a deal. Yes. A lot of those yeses are about keeping the peace, doing something when nobody else is stepping up. Remember those activities and a lot of people do this in work too, where there's a team and together you're supposed to do something, and pretty much it ends up being one or two people doing everything. Yeah. So having stuck with it in terms of, I'm not making this offering. This is not something I want to do. I'm not taking this on. Someone else has now stepped up. Yay! And even if someone else hadn't, I was willing to let this thing die on the vine because I was not going to be the one to do it. I have other gifts and talents that I'm willing to offer this process. The administrative stuff is not one that I'm willing to offer. So, yes, glad you can relate to this, because this is what we do. This is what we do. We want that supreme pleasure of saying yes to things that we really truly want to do, not out of obligation or out of martyrdom or no one else is stepping up, so I guess I'll have to do it. Not anymore. Most of us who are on this Practical Rebels team here are of a certain age, and we've done our time. As my friend Flo, who is 82, says, I've been in the hot kitchen making the food for everybody while there's people sitting out there doing nothing. Not me anymore. Not me. I've done my time. And I'm like, yay, you. So there's a trick that I learned in my Mary Kay training that is very helpful. In these kinds of circumstances, when someone has said, well, we need someone to volunteer for X, or I'm wondering if you could do Y, or whatever, the simple thing is stand and smile. Because the next person who speaks is leaving with that job. So bide your time. Count in your head if you have to. Say no flat out. Nope, that won't work for me. Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, and you just smile. You've given your answer. That heaviness that sits in the middle then will likely entice the other person to say something along the lines of, are you sure you can't? Yep, I'm sure I can't. Sorry, not this time. Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi. Have your words. Know what you want to say ahead of time. When something catches you off guard, so let's say you're working at the church rummage sale and someone comes up to you and says, hey, we need to put together a planning team for X, and we thought you could lead it. Glad it's helpful, Trace. We thought you could lead it. If you don't feel like you can say no and stick with it, at least say, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Practice. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Because when you walk away, your brain is going to start screaming at you, what the hell are you thinking? No, you don't want to do that. That is not in your highest and best good. Blah, 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 blah. Then you can go about the sending an email or a text message or whatever back saying, I've thought about it and I don't think that's going to work for me. Thanks for asking, though. Don't say too much. Because typically what happens is we talk ourselves back into it. I really don't have the time for that because I'm doing this and that and the other thing. And, the only time I really have available is Tuesdays. Well, I guess I could do it on Tuesdays. What did you just do to yourself? No. No, 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 no. Practice that bliss of no. Or practice that impending bliss of, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Practice, practice, practice. This is work that is good for your heart and soul. Okay? So, that is our reading for today, the bliss of no. Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes adequate. You don't have to be perfect, just adequate. That's what we'll aim for. Have an awesome Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.